The Gita advocates a middle path approach. There is no need for us to become extremists in our way of life. One doesn't need to become indulgent in all things, but at the same time, one doesn't need to become very strictly religious or ascetic either. Either extreme leads to a disbalance. So it's balance in life which is important. Now, for example, if you're eating too much, it's difficult for you to develop in the realm of consciousness. You feel heavy, you feel sleepy, you feel lazy, and so on. So, neither eating too much nor eating too little, neither sleeping too much nor sleeping too little, neither being too religious oriented in one's mindset or being entirely away from religion. You see, it's all about a search for truth. And what makes the search for truth more easily accessible is to have this inner balance, which Krishna is again and again reminding Arjuna of. And in this way, the Buddha's path is also similar. There is no need to paralyze yourself through this over insistence on monkhood, ascetic thinking, giving up everything in life. There's no need. You can remain in the world in your authentic self. You can continue doing your duty. But at the same time, you can find your inner integrity. And what is spirituality? Spirituality means finding your inner integrity, becoming more centered in your being. So this kind of a middle path makes you more centered in your being. The center itself means right in the center, right in the middle. So if you want to center yourself, if you want to find a oneness of being, realize that this approach can help you. You see, what creates anxiety in life? Our extreme behavior, our extreme attitudes can create anxiety in life. For example, some people get overly anxious about things for no reason, for the drop of a hat. And on the other hand, there are people who are indifferent to things, who don't get affected, so their sense of empathy goes. Their sense of their sensitivity goes. The whole idea is that for the inner transformation, to know the harmony of your inner being, the true qualities are needed. Qualities like compassion, intuition, self-understanding, realization of inner power, inner depth, and so on. And all these happen when you are in an inwardly silent state. Krishna is reminding Arjuna to come back to this inwardly silent state where he is in a synthesis of being. Arjuna's mind is full of noise, it's full of all sorts of apprehensions. On the one hand, he's worried about his relatives. On the other hand, he is worried about his reputation. He's worried about what tomorrow will bring, so on and so forth. So his mind is wavering. His energy has come to a situation where it is moving in all the wrong directions. And he's in a way forcing his energy to move in these wrong directions. His will is forcing the energy to move in the wrong directions. Krishna brings his energy back to a situation where Arjuna is able to listen to his own inner wisdom more. You see, the Bhagavad Gita works at two levels. One way of looking at it is that Arjuna is heeding the advice of outer wisdom through the medium of Krishna. The other way of looking at it is that he's actually listening to the voice of wisdom within himself. In other words, that absolute which Krishna represents is within us, exists within us. And this has been a debate over centuries. Some people say that the Bhagavad Gita didn't literally happen. It's just that Arjuna on a telepathic plane heard Krishna saying this to him, and he absorbed the message in an instant. And all this happened in a time span of seconds, actually. It's like when you dream. When you dream, You might have dreamt something for a very short span of time, but it can seem like the events have stretched over a lifetime. So, in that manner, it's possible that Arjun may have sensed the wisdom of Krishna. But the other way to look at it is that he could have also quite literally engaged in a dialogue with Krishna. Now, that's a very interesting aspect, and it doesn't really matter whether he was listening to his inner voice of wisdom or really in a true conversation with his mentor, his friend Krishna. What is really important is that the master key to unlock the doors of Arjun's mind and heart were found by him. And that master key was the lesson of balance, the lesson of not renouncing the war, not renouncing everything, but at the same time, not acting from a sense of vindictiveness or jealousy and so on. So Arjun could have acted from a sense of vindictiveness. After all, the Kauravas and Duryodhan have in a way tortured them, have in a way tortured the Pandavas, have in a way tortured the inheritors, Arjun, Yudhishthir and so on. So he could act from a very vindictive state of mind, from a very revengeful state of mind, but he doesn't do that. But on the other hand, he is told not to move away entirely altogether. So in the middle is where you can work in a detached state, cool, not so concerned, not so anxious about what will happen or what will not. Just work as if the greater is working through you. And in that state of being, you enter the temple of the divine. In that state of being, the doors, the portals of the true temple open up within you. And that true temple is higher energy. So your energy gets transformed. You are able to move from a very limited vista in life towards the entire sky of being, the splendor of the entirety, the immensity of the entirety. You become like the flow of the river itself. You don't hold yourself back, and in not holding yourself back, you come to what true wisdom is. You feel blissful, you feel happy, and so on. So really, in essence, this is also what Vedanta talks about. This is also what the Upanishads talk about. This entire state of acting in neither too indulgent a manner nor in acting in a too indifferent a manner. Both indulgence and indifference are harmful to you. Not by themselves. It's good to be indulgent sometimes. You can let go, you can relax, you can drop your mental barriers. At the same time, it's good to renounce a few things also, to live a life of certain discipline. You might want to forget your indulgences. You may want to be indifferent to certain enjoyments. That also creates its own discipline. But actually at the center of it, the inner light of it is what? The inner light of it is to be natural, to function in a natural state of being. That is true enlightenment. That is the true movement towards enlightenment. It means going into your innermost chambers where dwells the potentiality of the divine, and out of that is born an awakening. Out of that is born the seed of unbounded happiness, unbounded bliss, and so on. So your innermost core can come into a state of great joy through acting in this manner. And once that is done, then you come closer and closer to unfolding that which is ultimate within you, that which is absolute within you. It is a question of being authentic. It is a question of finding your spiritual consciousness more and more. And what is the very basis of finding your spiritual consciousness? It means that you are in the present moment, deeply rooted in the present moment, full of love, full of spontaneity, full of good energy, and so on. That is the way to heal yourself. That is the way to heal your heart, your soul, your mind, and soothe yourself with the understanding that no, you are not alone. This whole universe is with you. This whole voice of the higher is with you. Just like Arjuna is so overawed to understand that Krishna himself is functioning through him, the whole existence is functioning through him, then Arjuna is able to pull his totality of heart into his role as a warrior. Then he finds the true purity of his being. He experiences the strength and the resolve to do what needs to be done. So from the ideal which Krishna is teaching him, he is able to manifest that into true action within the world. And when action is manifested through the catalyst of higher wisdom, there's nothing like failure anymore. Even if you die on the battlefield, you'll still be a success because you are being yourself. You are being a perfect instrument of the greater. And when you're a perfect instrument of the greater, there's no way you can lose. So essentially, all of spirituality is this whole quest of being a tool of the greater, not trying to impose upon yourself through either extreme, through an overdose of indulgence or an overdose of indifference. You see, Arjun has become indifferent to so many questions. But Krishna pulls him back and he says, no, be of the world. Be of the world, but don't be of the world. That is the attitude of balance. You can function, you can do your work with a certain state of detachment, and that liberates you, frees you. Not only does it do that, it imbues your work with a certain higher quality, higher effectiveness, more power.